Now then, in this episode I'm going to go through how I have successfully fitted GXSR 600 motorcycle individual throttle bodies, or ITBs, into my classic Mini, which I've converted with a CG Nissan Mica 16 valve twin cam engine. Okay, hope you enjoy. Okay, so I've got my intake manifold broken down, ready for final assembly. So just to give you an overview of what we've got here, so I've got the standard Mica manifold cut down, so it's just the flange and the locating holes for the fuel rail and the fuel injectors here, and the bolt hole down the fuel rail. And I've welded on some transition pieces to go from the oval shape to a circular piece. Don't worry, I'm going to be deburring the inside of that, making nice and smooth airflow. Got my fuel injection rail here with the fuel injectors. I'll be upgrading them to higher CC output fuel injectors. Silicone hoses, 9° with clamps. Suzuki GXXR 600 individual throttle bodies here. Okay, and then silver velocity stars to go on top. Okay, I'll put up a shot or a video what it looks like when it's all assembled, and a steady bracket which basically hard mounts the ITBs to the manifold, bypassing the soft silicone hoses, so it's nice and rigid, so there's no flex when obviously you're stamping on the throttle there. Okay, just to show what I'm kind of doing here, so I've got my transition pieces that I welded, MIG welded I might add, onto this aluminium intake manifold. I successfully MIG welded it with aluminium wire. It wasn't easy though, so might be a good welder, but this was even more difficult than normal MIG welding, so it looks a bit poo, but it's solid. So what I'm doing now is I am just smoothing out the intake, so you can see what I did. I had a cylindrical section of tube and I cut relief cuts down here, and I moulded it to match the oval shape of the original Mica intake manifold to a circular pipe to accept the silicone hoses. So what I'm doing now with my narrow belt sander is I'm just smoothing out the inside and the transition from the tube to the intake manifold, so it's a nice smooth path. It's never going to be perfect, but I'm not a professional, so it's good enough, because this cost me next to nothing to make. Okay, you can see this one I've started, a bit of work with the belt sander. The rest I've still got to do. They look like absolute dog shit, as you can see. No way that's gonna stay like that. Okay, so I'm gonna do what I can with the narrow belt sander, and then what I've got here is a long deburr bit here, so I can do a bit more fine tuning here, trying to smooth that best I can. So improve airflow, needs more power. Okay, I'll get cracking. There we are. So all smooth best I can. Not going to be perfect, but there's no lip transition from this piece onto the original intake manifold that I cut down. Nice and smooth. So should be a nice path for the air. I've also put a little chamfer on the edge here, just to help again reduce any resistance to the airflow. It comes down here over that lip. Okay. So one issue I've got at the moment with the ITB install, it does fit, but as you can see, I've removed the ITB, so all I've got now is the silicone hoses onto the intake manifold. As you can see, it's actually pressed against the bulkhead here of the Mini, so that is not ideal, given that obviously the engine will vibrate and it'll probably wear the silicone out. Might affect the engine mount dampening, so It might transmit vibrations through the cabin, I don't know. But either way, I've got to resolve it. So, unfortunately, I don't want to bring these elbows closer because that makes it more of a tighter radius, 90 degrees. Obviously, I want the nice, as best I can, flow into the engine, so I don't want to compromise that any further. I mean, already with a 90 is not ideal. Straight shot would be the best for the ITBs, but obviously with a mini engine bay, I just don't think that's possible. So I've made the unfortunate decision that I'm going to have to notch this bulkhead here. So what I'm going to do is cut out a clearance hole to allow it to sit where it needs to and not clash. And then once I've got enough clearance there, I will weld that up. And there we are. So bulkhead officially notched. So it seems to be clear now of the silicone hose. Next step is to weld this all up. Well, make a patch for it and then weld it all up. Alrighty. And here we are. So there we go. So I created a patch, the same thickness steel as this section here, 1.5mm I think it was. And I've made a patch and as well as it in. Okay. I'm grinding out my shitty welds. Things you got to do. So next step, I'll give it a coat of primer. I will give it a colour at some point in the future, but not right now until the whole car's pretty much mocked up. Because obviously I'm worried if I start painting stuff now, I'm just going to start chipping it and stuff when I'm moving things about. So I'll just put some primer out for the time being just to protect it. Well, there you go. It's notch. You can talk about nice, got clearance with the ITBs now. Oh yes, there we are. ITBs installed. Everything's clear. It's looking ace. I will be in some screens, filter screens, or some foam for it. But at the moment, I'm just enjoying how it looks, nice and bare. Looking cool. Let's give it a test run. Bam, 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 bam. Yep, seems to be working okay. Next episode, we'll be looking at the fuel system. Okay, should be interesting. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.